Back on the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast with my good friend Ron Sanchez, who has a penchant for drinking coffee just like I do. The Charlotte 49ers looking to make a splash in Conference USA as he begins his fourth season. Coach, it's a pleasure getting you back on here, and this time they can see us.
Hey, listen, man, this is awesome to be with you. Nothing more than I enjoy than an interview with a guy that has a sudden draw, you know.
I know, it's just like we were saying, where's this guy from? And everybody points to a different state on the map.
You can claim a lot of places, just don't claim the West Coast. That's all
I'm claiming the West Coast. I got to. I even got the hair done, for crying out loud. Hey, as you look at the college basketball landscape, we're looking for a sense of normalcy. All of us are this year. And you think about, the 49ers, the resiliency of the sport was, in my mind, really shown when we fought COVID-19. We had to have an NCAA tournament. We got it in. But now I think everybody will agree we're in a much better place here going into 21-22.
Yeah, no, yes, we are. And I'll tell you, there's not a single basketball player that was on a roster last season or a single coach that was in charge of a group of young men that can tell you that, the last season was not challenging. There were also, a lot of things to learn during that time. So many administrations and, presidents and chancellors did a great job, and athletic directors to give us an opportunity to do what we enjoy to some unbelievable difficult times, and I think it allowed us to honestly step back and really notice how much we value and appreciate this sport and the opportunity to coach it and the opportunity to play it.
Yeah, for real. And you've got a kid there that exemplifies that, Jahmir Young, 18 points per game last year. He was your leading scorer. He was the fourth leading scorer in Conference USA. What's his ceiling now? It just looks like he's a different player every year. He just goes up the ladder, kind of.
Yeah, what you see in his growth, honestly, is just his commitment to trying to be excellent. Jahmir is one of those guys that we just call him an everyday guy. He has his routines. He shows up. He works hard. He finds areas of improvement, and he attacks those. When he was a freshman, there were a lot of areas that we wanted him to improve in. Now, as he's an upperclassman, some things are a little more defined. So for him, it's a lot of studying, film and watching himself play. It's not so much just shooting or passing, creating shots. It's more of just continuing to get that basketball degree while he's on the floor and watching, his play.
Mm-hmm. Bryce Williams, he's local there. I know from Hopewell High School, just up the road north from Charlotte. I was impressed as I watched a couple, in and out last year, and I kept up with what you guys are doing. The ability for him to score in both the mid-range and the 2-point game and the 3-point game, he had a high percentage. That's got to be something maybe that's going to be a key weapon this year for you.
Yeah, Brice is one of those kids that just kept improving. His size, his ability to shoot the ball, and his one dribble pull up, I think, are his probably his biggest and most powerful weapons. Unfortunately, Brice, had a bit of an injury this summer. Actually, we battled through it through last season, and we attacked that to get him remedied for this season. He's in the recovery phase right now. We're going to see how that goes. But he is definitely a guy that has the ability to, shoot the ball, score the ball. Right now, he's not practicing. He's not on the floor yet. So we're trying to bring him back at the right speed. But his talent is definitely there.
Yeah. And then you went through the transfer market and you got some good ones. Holy Cross transfer, Austin Butler, a key standout in the Patriot League for the Crusaders at 45.8% from three. He's got that dynamic as a shooter, but where else will he help you coming in?
Oh, man, we just got done with practice, and I got to count the number of times that Austin dove on the floor today. I mean, the kid is just so competitive. relentless, so continuous. So what he's going to contribute in more ways than just statistically. He's one of those guys that's going to inject others with that level of edginess, competitiveness, and just continuous effort. I'm so thrilled that he's with us.
Could we nickname him Mr. 50-50 ball?
We might have to. We might have to. I tell you, man, he's just, I'm not exaggerating. He probably dove on the floor today 10 times in practice. It was just, it takes him 10 minutes to get up, but he definitely dives on the floor.
So that was like an attribute you saw at Holy Cross and something that kind of attracted you to him.
Oh, absolutely. We wanted to get older, which is, I think, is a gift, now. Before it used to be you get older with guys growing in your program, but now we got to find a different way to get older. And that's, trying to bring in, some upperclassmen with some decent experience. And what he had is he just has a level of toughness and competitiveness. And like you say, his ability to shoot. You combine those two things and you got yourself a good player.
Getting old and staying old is a big theme around college basketball. An Ohio State transfer, Musa Jallow, will help you with that. He was a 4-star recruit actually coming into Ohio State, but he had injury problems. Can you talk a little bit about what he's going to bring you and, I guess his injury status as it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, same. Musa's one of those guys, in my opinion, I think he was one of the best defenders in the Big Ten. And obviously, that I value that side of the floor tremendously. And I think he's a natural player on that side. He's still nagging, with some injuries, and we're trying to get him as healthy as he can so he can be really, really productive for us. We're not trying to rush him back. Whenever he feels like he's ready to come back to be 100%, that's when we'll take him. Right now he's doing all that he can to be healthy. But he's been on the floor with us. He's had some workouts. And he's exactly what I said. He's a great defender, has a really good basketball IQ, is a team dude first. Him and Austin Butler just kind of have this dynamic effort, continuous play. On top of that, Musa is an unbelievable athlete. And so, I mean, he has a lot of gifts that he's going to bring to the table. And like you said, he's just older and is a really highly touted recruit out of high school.
The ACC fans watching here will remember Clyde Trapp Jr., I think, from Clemson. Same type of player. I remember him being pretty gritty himself.
Yeah, Clyde is, again, experienced, has played in some big time games, has played in NCAA tournament games, just like Musa, So those guys are coming in knowing how hard it is to be good, and they know how hard it is to win. Those are the experiences that I'm hoping that they'll be able to pass down onto the guys that are on the roster, that when coach is talking about, what is required to be successful, that they have this level of peer communication and peer leadership and player-led approach to doing, the little things really, really well. And I think those guys understand the value of that.
Same thing with Robert Braswell, Syracuse product, played all 24 games last year, really took off in the ACC tournament. What is he going to bring overall to you? I'm assuming he's got probably, from a coaching standpoint, the same persona, that we're talking about.
Robert's he's a little different. His gift is, man, he can really stretch the floor. At his size, he really shoots the ball well. And if you watch him at Syracuse, you can see that. And he's also a really good athlete. He's long and bouncy, so he can do some things, that way. Unfortunately, we don't play a 2-3 zone here, so he's got to learn the continuous defensive side of guarding your man and those things. But I think he's doing a great job of picking things up and picking up our system. But the one thing that he can do, man, he can really shoot the ball. Yeah,
no 2-3 zone defense involved with the 49ers or the Cavaliers for your mentor there, Tony Bennett. I'm curious, though, when you make that kind of transition from a 2-3 zone to like the pack line defense, are there principles from the 2-3 zone that you can take in kind of a toolbox to play in a pack line?
No, absolutely not.
None.
No. I don't think that there's much. There isn't much similarity at all between being in one spot and then chasing a guy off a screen and rescreen and, blocking out and things of that nature. So, but what he does have, he has great anticipation, and like in the zone. The one thing that I will say is probably similar is how much you have to talk and communicate. So which is not, Robert's natural. So he's kind of a quiet kid, but I think he does have some gifts, and he is growing. He's definitely growing, and his length is one that is definitely a gift. I mean, I think we're pretty long on the perimeter, and he adds a different level, with his length as well.
Well, as far as the pack line goes, is that quote unquote tweakable, or is it like iron? It's there. It's like the steel curtain of the Steelers in the 70s. And it's that tough.
No, you either are committed to it or you're not doing it.
I love it. It's an acquired taste. I mean, it's something that I think it's something people try to, I guess, emulate, but it's very tough to emulate like its founder.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not fun to be great defensively. It really isn't. So it's kind of unnatural to be committed to that side, especially in today's game. So it's different.
The way I have seen it, it can take, transition teams and slow them to a creep. Mm-hmm. What's a couple of the dynamics involved with being able to do that?
You got to make a choice. I think you have to decide, like, what are your strengths? How are you going to impact the game the most? And, for us, we really just want to make every opponent take the most difficult shot possible, and let's just start with transition. If you don't take away transition baskets, then you're not accomplishing that. Those are the highest percentage shots that we can take in the game. So we really want to, minimize the number of transition baskets that we give up, and then make a team play in the half court, and then, make them play against a set defense as often as possible. And then from there, it's just trying to make them take the most difficult shot. Can we make you take a shot that's contested? And if we can accomplish that, then we block out and get the rebound and own the possession. And then we just try to do that as many times as we can, over and over and over again.
I'm curious now. Okay, so being an old coach back in the 90s who failed miserably at the high school level, but we won't talk about that right now. Hey, I wanted to ask. Okay, so I shoot and miss. Your team, or my fault. You shoot and miss. I get the rebound, and I look for an outlet pass. How do you stop the outlet pass? Or if the outlet pass is completed, what's the next thing I should think of as a player?
Well, we're not going to stop you from throwing an outlet pass, because that goes against what we're trying to do. We're trying to make you play against a set defense. So what you will see when that pass is made is that there are probably 3 people in front of you. And now you got to make another decision. Am I attacking that? Am I throwing the next pass? And the next person gets their pass, and they'll see 3 people in front of them, So again, now we're trying to play against this level of a wall as often as possible.
Wow. I love that stuff.
I coached my daughter's 9 and 10-year-old team the other day. I tried to teach them that. It didn't work that well. So don't feel bad about your failed high school days.
I wish I could have recruited. I was in the mountains doing that too, by the way. I was also interested, you're bringing in several transfers. Talk about fitting so many new pieces together from so many different places.
Yeah, I think that today, the way the game is going, the way that recruiting is going, with the use of the transfer portal, I think it's going to be the new normal of having a mix of, a handful of returners and a handful of new players. So I think that allowing your team to gel and investing time into the connection, the connectivity between the new guys and the old guys is critically important, for them to really mesh together for them to decide, how is this team going to be successful? New guys, old guys. How do we roll in the same direction? I think it's going to be a new talent that we as coaches are going to have to spend some time developing, because new guys, old guys, it's going to be the same cycle almost every season as we go forward from here. So the one thing about the guys that we brought in is, they're on the same page with the guys that are returning. They want to be successful. We had a phenomenal second year before COVID shut us down. And, we couldn't go back and recruit out there because everything was shut down then. And we lost a bunch of guys. And that's where our program was. We want to really pick it up right from there with these new guys. And I think they can really help us try to get the program back to competing at that level.
Coach Ron Sanchez from the Charlotte 49ers in tough Conference USA. Coach, it's been a pleasure having you back on. And, I may take you up on that cup of coffee there in Boca Raton one day soon.
Hey, man, let's definitely do it. I'll tell you one thing, man, after listening to you right now, when we get off this call, I'm going to play a Chris Stapleton song, Tennessee Whiskey. So I'm going to enjoy it just a little more. All right? Just a little more. Just hearing this drop.
Here's to you, Coach. I don't have it. Well, I've got this. Here's to you.
Oh, man.
Thanks
always good to catch up, man. Thanks for having such a great sense of humor and making this enjoyable. Really appreciate it, like always.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I appreciate your time.